Disclaimer, disclaimer, read all about it.
Gone somewhere and dyed my hair now. Wanna be alone. It's much to bear and you don't care, and I won't play alone. I got you in my sight. I keep all the what you said to me. I get you on your knees. Rewrite all the things you said that I should be. I'll get you, now you'll beg me please. Hey.
Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. We're going to have a True Crime and Trauma community meeting. Hear ye, hear ye. I cordially invite you all.
My life is complicated enough.
Whoa.
The last thing
My life is complicated too, lady, but go away. My TikTok just started playing. Sorry about that. Hear ye, hear ye. True Crime with Eve invites you to the True Crime and Trauma community meeting. All in favor, say aye in the chat. Hi, Hakuna. Good to see you. G-Ma, OG Mod, been with me from the jump. Rachel Carter, nice to see you. Lenny, good to see you in chat. Julia T, I hope you are watching. Tammy, everyone that came in prior. I'm so sorry that I was late with no heads up or explanation. It was an emergency. Not to get too deep into it, but basically I had to help someone get a restraining order on someone else. Okay. And I didn't have much time to, get on to my desktop and do all the things like I normally would to reschedule. I had to wait until I got home to get on and do all that. So I apologize for that. It wasn't intentional at all. So anyway, getting that out of the way, and it's not anything related to YouTube, but if somebody requests that kind of help, YouTube can wait a minute, right? It can hold up. So, Rachel says cutting in and out for anyone else. If I have noticed real quick, if it is cutting in and out, but it'll stabilize for a minute, you might have had something on 1.5 speed from a previous video, and it's trying to do that here with the live. So turn that back to normal and it might fix itself, or just restart the app. Yeah, I noticed that. So I listen to everything on, double speed or 1.75, 1.5. So anyway, so I hope that if you're not watching currently, you're watching the replay, go ahead and hit that like button. Even the people in the back that don't want to say anything but support the meeting. What is this meeting about? Okay, so recently, True Crime and Trauma have kind of, not that this hasn't happened before, but I guess feelings were hurt, things were said, especially with the Sebastian Rogers case, because of Seth Rogers and Katie and Chris Proudfoot and their presence online. Now, I am no stranger to criticism on a missing child's case, as we all are probably aware. If not, you could probably figure out really quickly that Michael Vaughn's case and my coverage on it from about April 2022 onward was very controversial for some. And there was also the other side of, we appreciate you digging into this and keeping this, going. I do believe, honestly, and not to toot my own horn or anything like that, I do believe that bare minimum, I did get traction on his case for people to start talking about it and covering it. And that's really what matters. You know, I can't help what other people do. I can only do what I can do, right? Or watch my words and actions, which I've learned from. I've made mistakes like a lot of creators who are just trying to do the right thing in their minds, and it might not match other people's moral compass and all of that stuff. Having said that, let me take a drink real quick. Drink your water out here, folks. If you're in the South or anywhere that has temperatures above 95 degrees, drink your water. Drink your water anyway, but specifically those who are in the heat wave that I'm currently facing in Texas. My God, it's so hot. I'm about to put a fan literally on top of me. I just want the fan in my face. That's all I want right now. OG Mod, thank you. Trigger warning, sensitive topics. Please try to discuss like adults and be open to others' thoughts. So what is the True Crime and Trauma Community Meeting about? Well, we're going to discuss the Crama's viewpoints and what things have been said on their lives and how they're feeling. And then the Crama side, looking at it from both sides, because true crime and Crama commingle. They coexist together frequently. They often use each other as an excuse for whatever it is at the time that's going on. Well, I'm not a true crime channel. Well, I'm not a Crama channel, and you're bringing Crama to my platform. You know, that kind of stuff. And we all know that life does not work that way. Life doesn't say that you get to have a Crama or a drama-free life. You know, if you're working at a job, you might have coworker drama, right? Which commingles with your logic and just trying to do your job and make money for yourself, right? So there is no such thing as using the excuse, in my opinion, that I am this part of the community and you're that part of the community, so don't hold me accountable to the standards you have placed over there in your little corner. It doesn't work that way. Life does not work that way. What does work in this community is open and honest discussions, but actually being honest, being actually thorough with what you're trying to communicate without leaving it too open-ended where people can go sideways, right? There is a difference between respectful criticism and shaming. Okay, so what's the latest and greatest that's been going on with Crama and true crime? Again, Sebastian Rogers case, clip channels have been firing off. Boy, they just been boom, boom, boom. And it's really interesting because where do we place clip channels who are just clipping and reposting, which please be careful because reuse content, they're cracking down really hard on it. And if you go to the YouTube community guidelines and look at the most recent releases and updates within YouTube support and all that, they say specifically that there's a new appeals process for demonetization because of the issues of people reusing the same content, not just reusing somebody's content, but reusing the same content over and over and over. And it seems like those types of channels are being hit. Now, I'm not saying that they don't have a right to fair use. I'm just saying that's what's happening. And the appeals process has changed because so many are being hit. So clip channels might be affected. You really have to transform that reused content. You know, you really have to. And the bots don't always get it right. So Hey, Shani, good to see you. Understood. So, what do we need to talk about? And I do want this to be an open discussion in the chat. And if someone feels like they want to come up and talk about it, I will absolutely open the panels if you want to. I don't want it to seem like I had a pre-planned group of people that jump on a panel. I don't want it to feel that way. So I do want you to be accountable and say, I would like to speak on this for historical value, because I don't like that whole no link in the chat, but people somehow end up on a panel that they got the link to. It's not really an open panel, right? That's just my opinion. So recently, Tragedy Pimps Exposed, I'm sure everybody has heard. That's in both of these communities that surround missing children's cases specifically. And the Bullhorn Betty madness, which, is she on the run? Is that what I'm hearing? Is that she's legitimately not being served, or she's running away from being served to ignore this? Because I think the rules are, from her situation with Katie Proudfoot putting that basically a protective order where she has to be served, right? Or at least notified. Is she on the run trying to avoid that? Is that what I'm hearing? Allegedly. Okay, that's insane. She's acting like a mad woman, ranting and raving. Now, what is Bullhorn Betty? Is she considered true crime and or trauma, depending on the moment? Is she even considered anything just but a nuisance that harasses family members of missing children? I think that there's in itself a whole nother genre of people that are just batshit fucking nuts, that do not need to be involved when they have been habitually reoffending, okay? Like Bullhorn Betty. Why is she still here? They kicked MGL off for some fuck shit, right? And all of that. And Critical K, who is, I think, has been sued for a shit ton of money for her role in being a quote unquote tragedy pimp. And just god awful to victims, family members. So again, lately TPE has come out with her premiere expressing the same thing, with Dolly and Ziggy and who else is it? Besides the two I'm going to mention. I think one other person. That's Dolly and Bullhorn Betty. Obviously, we all know that they're into madness. I don't think one TPE video has changed their behavior, or anyone that covers these habitual offenders over and over every day. I don't think they have changed. Maybe they've even gotten worse or better at getting around the review. I have not seen a big change at all, to be honest with you. I don't see them coming to Jesus, if you will. I think that they're just doing what they do. And it's unfortunate. And I think it's great that people are aware of it. I think they're aware of it whether or not you review them. I think that habitually reviewing them narrows your audience to those who want to see that all the time, which isn't good for your channel if you're trying to do the right things. This is just me, okay? Not anybody else. And I'm not, I really hate actually saying it's just me, by the way. I usually don't say that, but I've been hearing it so often, reviewing other videos. That's just me is a very improper way to invalidate what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that it, in my opinion, it does limit your viewers to just those that will keep coming back to it because that's what they want. If you're wanting to grow your channel, you want to expand on other things, especially if you're telling other people, right, in the true crime community, you need to stop doing this and that. If you want your channel to grow, there's other and better ways to do it. Now, please, again, if you have something that you would like to talk about, it's a community meeting, not an Eve meeting. It's everyone. It really is. If you have a question, if you have something you want to bring up, let's talk about it. And I know it's easier on panel. So again, I will open it up. Absolutely. Random the dime. The judge said that she was avoiding being served and extended the order. Wow. Right. Hey, twin thing. Good to see you. Awesome. Be safe, Jeep girl. So I want to express before we review what's been going on both sides of the fishbowl here, that TPE is the one that started the conversation with her premiere, okay, about how do we go about hashtags and, you know, where do we draw the line? Pretty much the same thing that's been regurgitated since the Summer Wells case. Where do we draw the line? Where is our moral compass, and who just gets to decide what's fair? And from my understanding in the past 2 years that I've been on here, there is none. It's from a creator to creator basis. No matter what, people are going to do what they do. And I think the message that is lost on both sides, the Krama side, the message is lost that who are you, right? And are you doing the same things that you're accusing others of? And on the other side, are you even listening to criticism? Why hasn't it worked? And what could we do better? And why are we being defensive of the Krama community, which is kind of ironic? So we're both on each side of the fishbowl here, swimming in circles and not meshing. And is that intentional? Is there even such a thing as a community divided? I don't think so, in my opinion. I think it's a community for sure, like anywhere else. There's a knitting community, lawn mowing community, whatever. It's still humans interacting on the internet. And you're either doing good things with good intentions or masking that you're doing good things with really bad intentions. And the only way to expose those people, like the Krama community and the Clip channel community, is to expose the truth, expose their feelings on what they see, expose what's being done wrong to whomever. And I want, in my opinion only, it really is my opinion only. I don't want to speak for others. I don't. But I do feel this way, that shaming is a huge part of this community. It is kind of like the golden rule to get your story across on both sides. The true crime and the Krama community both like to shame whomever or what group of people have done wrong to whomever it is, whether it's themselves, whether it's parents of missing children or crime cases, whatever it may be. The shaming tends to be the MO on both sides. And why is this a thing? Why is shaming someone to get your content across? How does that work? Does it work? Has it changed a single person on this platform? I'm going to tell you, in my opinion, no, it has not. What does shaming do to people, whether or not they earned it, deserved it, didn't deserve it? For instance, I feel my husband's information getting out there, who was a part of the group that TPE ran with, even though it's not her responsibility on what they do, you are guilty by association on this platform based on her videos and others. And I'm not just calling out her, I'm just saying Clip channels, all of the Krama community and the true crimers that go into the Krama when necessary. The shaming is it. And if you can't do that, you get a freebie. If you can shame them, or you don't want to dox them, but somebody else does, you can claim, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. I was in the chat here. But tomorrow, how could you hold me accountable for something that they did? When you're very fully aware, being in the chats as much, to have 3 years of screenshots, for instance, or a list of tragedy pimpers that you want to go after that you just haven't gotten the time to get to, even though they may have changed or addressed the community already, or have moved past the issues and spoke about it, and their viewers and subscribers have already squashed it. Where do we draw the line of being scrutinized to the point of going backwards from what you want them to do? There is always a motive for each channel that is created. Otherwise, you could just talk to yourself or the wall all day. There's always a motive, a self-interest to start a channel. Big or small, it doesn't matter. You want to be heard. So right there is self-interest. There is no other way around it. Your motives could be amazing. Your motives could be bad. Okay? So who gets to decide scrutiny? Who gets to decide what is to be scrutinized? What levels are there? And specifically with Tragedy Pimps Exposed, recently it was the hashtag issue. Now, I would love everybody's thoughts in the chat. I'm going to check in with chat because I know everybody's kind of expressing themselves. I want to know where you have felt it was improper to be called out on, and when it was justified. What are your thoughts? What is everybody's collective meet in the middle where everybody can agree what's too far and what's acceptable to be criticized, right? And are you accountable for who you associate with? What are your thoughts on that? I think it's a very great question, because I could not be held accountable for, I'm just using you as an example, Julia T, I can't be held for what you say in another person's chat. You're also not my mod, and I don't speak to you in a Discord. We don't speak other than when you're in here, or maybe Twitter here and there. Does it matter if you have a Discord where you're communicating with said creators and their viewers and subscribers? Does that matter? Does that create a different angle of, well, that's not fair if I'm over here all the time. Somebody does fuck shit. I talk to them in the chats. They're in a Discord together, but I'm not responsible for that. You know, it's a very deep, difficult thing to discuss, because nobody knows what's going on in the backgrounds with some of these creators. And I'm going to tell you, as somebody who is new-ish, came on board from no community whatsoever. I didn't come from an MGL background, a Ziggy background. I came off the street, y'all. I came off with no knowledge of anything. YouTube, how it works, brand new. I came from TikTok, whole different world. That's all I came. And I don't even have a genre of TikTok. I just did crazy shit and moved on to YouTube when true crime was popping off, and I was invested in missing children because it was odd to me how many were missing and how they were disappearing. So let me check in with chat. Matthew, good to see you. Good to see you, hon. Gmail says, I think that channel donations are better handled with Cash App or PayPal. Then it isn't being confused with donations for the missing children, and YouTube doesn't take half. Right. You know, let's look at both sides of each thing that's coming on chat. Okay. Gmail thinks Cash App and PayPal are acceptable. So monetization is something you're okay with when covering any case or having opinions on a case. And a lot of people do. I do. I think that your voice and your opinion matters if you're using content and your own research, if you're actually doing something you have created. And that even includes reviewing and your thoughts on reviewing other people. But you also have to go it a step further, in my opinion, too. You can't just base it on that. You got to have a little more. You've got to reinvent the wheel that someone gave you, right? So you're okay with that. Like many others, a lot of people say, no way. One dime is a dime too many. How dare you? Shame, 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 shame. Without really going into specifics as to why they're being called out. Just the mere fact that a donation was received. And this is a personal thing, has nothing to do with nonsense or grannies watching, because those were the two that were called out by Tragedy Pimps Exposed. Called out is kind of a overstatement. I would say it is they were mentioned, they were discussed on, they were grouped in between the Ziggy, the Zigster, and Bullhorn Benny. They were sandwiched in between, which will give an impression that you are putting them on the level, whatever it be, lower, higher, mid-range, doesn't matter. And I don't understand that, to be honest. A tragedy pimp is not, in my opinion, it's one thing. We have to define that shit. It can't be interchanged in between communities to fit your narrative. It has to be, this is what a tragedy pimp is, and these are what the conditions are. And I believe I found Tragedy Pimps Exposed has done that work for us a year ago. She explained what a tragedy pimp was versus Laura Cutie Perplexed, her words. So we might play that to get that cleared up, because I think we need to officially establish on this platform the criteria for a tragedy pimp, and let me just say the levels, which I think is kind of absurd. But hey, listen, this isn't my content. Tragedy Pimping Exposed is not my content. It's hers and others and Clip Channels, so they have a right to do however they see fit with on their channel. But I can also disagree with how the angles are coming. Let's clear up, what do you mean by tragedy pimp? Could we add the opposite, where we remove the donations, the money, and call those people tragedy simps? And maybe those who go after tragedy pimps, let's call them tragedy simps. And let's call people who remove themselves from the money part and just cover true crime but still get scrutinized, tragedy bimps. I don't care. Somebody else could probably come up with a better name. Let's just put more categories in it, because TPE states it is ever changing. The definition is ever changing. Recently, but a year ago it was different. A tragedy pimp, you make money off of exploiting missing children and their families, and that's that. A pimp, if you think about what a pimp is, which I really think it's disgusting, the word in itself, because it does associate with sexual exploitation. That's exactly what a pimp is. Look in the dictionary, it says man who exploits women sexually for monetary gain. Right? So I don't like it. That's just me. I don't like it. It also makes it very poignant to those who are deemed tragedy pimping that they are part of that. I don't like that. It makes you pigeonhole your thought processes when reviewing. It's very easy to be like, oh yeah, F that creator, tragedy pimping mother bleeper, not gonna go over there anymore. I'm gonna stay here and watch exposing tragedy pimps, because that's better. I feel better and more morally correct doing that. It's about directing the traffic. And on the other side of that, you have the true crime community actually doing some of what TPE and others call out. They are correct on a lot of things, but we haven't established how do you consider calling someone out who hasn't been called out? It is important discussion. It's not an excuse to point blame, but you know what does create that? Shaming. Shaming people will create defenses. Grandstanding during the shaming process will not, more than likely, statistically not change someone's behavior. It actually makes it worse, where they dig their heels in more. And no discussion is going to be had other than finger pointing, blaming, and more trauma for the clip channels to then have at it with. And a lot of the trauma community, in my opinion, know this, absolutely know this, and are waiting for it, and probably have been tipped off already. I'm not saying in this situation, but in my opinion, that's what happens. It's intentionally tragedy pimp simping on both sides, okay, to then continue their content, misdirect the content, or exploit the content on the face of, I am for missing children, without really any addition to what the non-misinformation is. It's just straight up the drama. So where do we draw the line? I'm going to keep going with chat real quick. Lenny, the community is like a Venn diagram. TC connected to trauma. The side YouTube streets are the result. Moral majority has gone wild. And even I was accused of pointing the finger. Must fit. Right. And I know that you saying that, for instance, you saying that right now, Lenny, because you didn't say a name, but it's implied somewhere else who is probably watching right now, you're going to be told to shut the fuck up. You've already been told to shut the fuck up, but you're also going to be watched, and you are being watched, okay, by people in the trauma community. Okay. So now your words in my chat are going to be used as a weapon outside of here. And that will not be called out. I promise you it's not going to be called out. Well, I'm calling it out now, but it's the truth. And you don't deserve that. You don't deserve to be bullied in a chat because I saw what went down. I know the reality of it. So why don't y'all shut the fuck up and leave her alone? That is outside of this community meeting. Somebody needs to hit that gabardine and say, order, order. But I did need to get that off my chest because we're not going to bully people around here. The court jester has arrived. Oh man, need you to come up here and be the simmer down person. What is it, court officer? Shaming is division, not uniting. Thank you for getting me back on track, Lenny. Surprisingly, because we both go off on tangents together. So thank you. The shaming from both sides of this community is a problem, in my opinion. I don't see where it's going to be beneficial for anyone to shame someone into submission or to redirect content. Again, like I said, every person on this platform who is a creator has a self-interest, whether it be good or bad intentions. It's self-motivated. They want to be heard. Say that properly. They want to be heard. Shani Jones, everything you say, shaming, I hear my name. Oh, I'm sorry. Shani. I'll start calling you Shani. Lenny, I was judged on words of a friend and I was never there. You are correct on that. I will vouch for you on that. I know it went down. I know. And I'm not going to tell you to shut up. Keep on keeping on. Oh, I was told I wasn't innocent because I was here on this channel supporting Eve, right? Right. And I thought that we were not supposed to go after viewers and subscribers of other people just because of personal beef. Lenny is technically, I don't even know if you're a creator or not. It doesn't matter. You know, to me, YouTubers who come on to speak here and there about a specific issue is not of any community. They're beefing. They're just expressing their beef to make sure they get heard. That's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about creators who habitually go live, or at least consistently go live, and talk about all the things, different things, not just the drama they're having. So Lenny, I would just call you, what do you call somebody who just goes online to vent or go on panel to vent? I don't put you in the same category. And I don't think it's really fair to air it out if you're a bigger creator when you preach habitually. Don't bring your personal drama onto the YouTube streets. Well, I'm going to break it to everyone. I hope this doesn't hurt anybody's feelings. The moment you get close to a creator or someone who has a channel, whether it be groups of people on one channel or one singular creator, be absolutely 100% okay with the fact that potentially maybe one day you will be talked about, especially in the Krama community, but also in the true crime community, if you want to call them split. I don't really like it. It's all the same to me. People who have issues with other people. Human beings who have fallouts with groups that click together. I'm guilty of it. Every single creator who has a channel with a specific group of people who habitually come in, mod for them, but still hang out in other people's chats. They're cliques. They are clicky. That includes me. That includes TPE. That includes the Jerks. That includes Deets, Joneson, B, Queen Bee. Everybody shares that commonality. It's okay. It's not a secret. Everybody's got to stop getting on that high horse here. We're all human and we do things that humans be doing. It's the truth. Say it with your whole chest, though. Don't act like you don't know. And if you know that a certain clique or group acts a different way behind the scenes than in real life, or on YouTube, which isn't real life to some. It's absolutely real life. It's just a different type to hide behind. Call it out. Call each other out in the fucking chat when the things go down. I'm guilty of this where I don't speak up, or some people don't hear about something that was said until way later. That's different. What I'm saying is don't hide people. Don't delete comments if it's something that you called somebody out for on a live in front of the world. Give them that voice. Or shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up then. It's not fair for either side of this community to do that to each other, to talk shit and then disable them from having a voice. Whether it be behind the scenes, which most of it is, the drama. And I want to say something about you don't have to call or you don't have to message or try to squash the beef offline. You don't have to do that. You should, as a decent human being. At work, when you're at a big boy and big girl job, you know what? Most times your boss will tell you, figure it out, discuss it, come up with a plan, whatever issue you're having with another coworker, and then let me know if that doesn't work out. Then we can work it out. That's what mods do, right? Mods are supposed to also help with that. But mods are cliquey no matter how you want to spin it, y'all. Mods are cliquey. Some mods are intentionally put in multiple different creators just for the mere fact of reporting back on both sides, y'all. I'm not pointing to any specific one. I'm not going to have receipts for you because that would be exploiting people that don't need to be exploited or exposed. I don't feel like it's necessary, but I want you to know that I know, and that you should know too, that there are rogue mods, if you will. I saw, for instance, just last night, a mod in a chat where they then went into their alt troll account and was also a mod. Now, I don't know if they were too busy trolling other things and just didn't want to switch back over to their main, but are we that dumb or lazy? I mean, come on. This is what's happening in the community. And I will call out the Krama community on this specifically because I consider myself true crime, even though I'm part of it all. We're all part of the same air that we breathe in the drama. But if we're going to talk about splitting each other up, I would consider myself more true crime, getting drug into the Krama. And it's intentional. Those things are intentional. So if you end up on, let's say, a live being called either a tragedy pimp or whatever, or you're getting called out for bad behavior that maybe you either did or did not realize, please trust and believe that the self-interest because of that is not just because they have an issue with you. They have to have an audience to back up the same feeling, or otherwise you wouldn't have a good channel at all and nobody to view your shit. You could spew it all day long that you're just an individual with your own thoughts and opinions, which you are. Every single one of us is. But if you think for a minute that the motives behind it isn't directed for specific people too, you are sadly mistaken. I'm calling this out for what it is on both sides. The messages that we put out there are intentional for multiples, the people we click with, the people we jive with. Maybe not all of them, but a majority of them, and we all know it. And if you want to sit there and lie about it, live in La La Land, go ahead. Go ahead. But my channel is not about it. It's not about that. I am real. I'm real, raw, and uncut. Twin thing, the worst part of the true crime community, or those who claim to be true crime, is the purpose. Lenny, a friend of mine proved a group wrong, and now this week it's threats of DMs exposed. Wait, they don't do that right. So you're talking about, I don't like to speak in subliminals. I think that was what Soup said from the Jerks on her own channel with her own thoughts and opinions, the one that told you to shut the fuck up. So again, you said the friend of mine proved a group wrong, and now this week it's threats. Yes, I'm going to be 100% honest with you and my viewers and subs, because I don't have any dog in this fight. With Lenny, I like Lenny. I appreciate her. Yes, she's batshit crazy sometimes. She knows that I feel that way. Sometimes I can't follow what she's saying. She knows that. And she knows that she's heard that. But I listen to her, and I'm open to hearing her out like a human being. And I don't tell her to shut the fuck up. You're correct. Now, the way that you exposed it, not anybody else is going to understand what you're saying. But when you went on panel, you wanted to do that for you and who was listening. You didn't care what everybody else was saying or hearing. They didn't understand it. I did. I was there behind the scenes. I know exactly what went down. And I'm proud of you for doing whatever it is that you felt you needed to do to feel better about that. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. I'm not going to shame you and then make a live and expose your DMs and do 18 years of history on you. Because I've learned, I've done better. I have moved on from that. And not a single hashtag is going to reverse that hard work, no matter what the motive is. Right? I'm listening with an open mind. You have some excellent points, and I appreciate that. And I do want feedback of any kind, but with respect and good motive. If you're here to clip and replay for your trauma or true crime people who happen to be in the trauma while watching, I mean, you're going to do what you're going to do. Make sure you put it all out there, though. And make sure that you don't fall into the reused content category. Make it interesting. Use the content with a little spin. Lenny, hashtagging with not a word spoken on said case, I am not for. Yeah. Now, I do want to say that it was mentioned recently that hashtags, I'm not going to speak too much on the hashtags. I think hashtags was just honestly a excuse to get into the discussion. TPE is very adamant, and those that surround her, Chronicles of the Shady, I think Six Up, other people who have been around, they have been around each other for at least a year or two, bare minimum, probably longer, who have come from an, ironically, trauma community, most of them, who came from a community of some kind of fuck shit. Including grannies watching, including nonsense, including all of the. I'm not sure about Duchess. Duchess is. I don't get that one. I don't know why she was called out, but some people disagree, and that's fine. There's a lot of others that could be called out for the same fuck shit that with the hashtags, but I digress. Ironically, TPE is not going to call those people out. Some of those creators out, because first of all, the people that she's close to already discussed those people. So why would she overlap the same content? Which I understand, it's a beating a dead horse. But also, if you're going to sit in that environment, why would you want to ruffle the feathers? That's human nature. I don't blame you, sweetheart. I wouldn't want to shit where I eat and eat where I shit, right? I'm not blaming you for that, but I will say that that's exactly what I see. And knowing what I know behind the scenes, being involved with multiple people together in a Discord or multiple Discords, you cannot sit here and tell me that it is not motivated by who you surround yourself with. If you believe that, I'm sorry to tell you, in my opinion, you are gullible. It is absolutely going on. Clip channels that pop up out of nowhere is not because they just decided that this needs to be clip worthy. It's intentional. They're probably around and have been around in the same fuck shit community that they came out of and the people that they mod for. Please understand that. Maybe not every one of them, but I can tell you most of them. And again, coming from someone who came from zero community at all, did not come from a single person, group, clique, nothing. Came straight to YouTube literally alone. All right. Twin Thing says anyone can be scrutinized if they aren't being honest and working with an agenda. Well, how do you know what motive is my question. You would have to be morally grandstanding and white knighting to know what somebody's motive is, whether or not they have money. Everybody has a different level of what's moral. And TPE does express that. So I appreciate that she's honest about that, because it is different. and she has a right to feel a certain way about it. But to also exploit it, and I'm not just saying TPE, anybody who's in the community of ours who picks apart things at a time where it's irrelevant to what the big picture is concerning. So the only thing that Queen Bee, for instance, in my mind, when hearing, and B-Tim jumping straight to the jerks, right? There was a lot of blaming the jerks, and I don't think that was necessarily correct, but I do understand exactly why Queen Bee went there and Granny's watching, talking about some of the things that she did. I won't speak for her, but just generally saying, I absolutely 100% get it. And the reason why? Timing. I've been in those watch parties. I've been in that Discord. I've seen what goes down and how the MO of all of the Krama side of YouTube works. It's a very well-oiled machine, and you're going to get a lot of backlash, or I am rather, probably, being a conspiracy theorist, being a Lenny type, meaning crazy talk. And Lenny, I love you. You know that I'm just being real here. I'm going to be called over dramatic, no receipts. I don't have to have receipts with this. I experienced this. I saw it with my own peepers as somebody who did not come from a Krama anything. I know how the system works, and it's really, really simple. It's a bunch of people who get together and review and keep things in their back pocket for a rainy fucking day. Especially when the drama isn't as bad as the standard that Bullhorn Betty and Dolly and MGL and JLR and all of those big baddies have put the bar up, because those are variants in the system here. Those are big players that are absolutely vile. So you got to go to the next thing. Hashtags. Repeating the same interview over and over when they are a Krama community. And that's exactly what the ones calling those people out are doing. Right? Who came from that community together. And you also have the true crimers who really are saying, I'm doing this for the right reasons. Like me, right? I'm just trying to get the word out and get a different perspective on it and admit that I am nobody, but I have a right to an opinion like everybody else. Being scrutinized for getting a donation from my husband and our friends because they called me a tragedy pimp and I had not received one dime yet. And they did that on purpose as a joke. They sent money through a donation on my YouTube, the first 3 that I ever got. And I believe it was around my birthday. And that showed up on TPE's live. And I'm a tragedy pimp. So then I call out, hey, why would you say that I'm a tragedy pimp when that was the only time I ever got a donation covering a case? And then it turned, well, a friend texted me. Oh, I see. Motive. Okay, somebody else had an issue with me, saw this, sent it to you because you're the clip master. You've got 3 years of clips to go over. That was what you told me. It was just something I came over with my 3 years worth of clips from the Summer Wells case and the Michael Vaughn case and missing children, right? It was just my time. Didn't need to research anything. It was just I was up. Nonsense was up. Granny's Watching was up. No matter what they have done since then, that takes a lot of effort. But she has every right. I'm going to say this right now. She has every right to feel the way that she feels. And I have every right to say that she was wrong. And I have every right to say that her motives were definitely, in my opinion, like many other Krama clip channels and all that stuff, they're doing it for each other. That's just my opinion. Sometimes Six Up Jerks, all of them, Deets, are right on the money. Man, they are absolutely correct on what they say, and other trauma and true crime creators. But they're also wrong as fuck sometimes, just like me. Not necessarily on the facts or the receipts, but I could be wrong on my perception, and they have a right to do whatever they will with that. But the one thing that I do have is seeing how the machine was oiled in the trauma community. All right. And the trauma people that say they don't know about who goes where, I don't believe you. I don't believe you for a minute. It's impossible when you're reviewing what other people has said and done, and it comes up on your live, and you say, I was watching this the other day. I didn't really get to watch. Yes, you were watching. You were watching every single thing. You were watching every single thing on that live in the chat. I've seen how that works. I've gotten caught up in that rabbit hole of trauma. It sucks you in like, man, no other. And TPE and others. I'm just using TPE first because she was the one that wanted the conversation. But TPE, Chronicles of the Shady, Earth, all of those who piggybacked a little bit off of what has been said and then expose it, which great, awesome. You know that. Some of you creators know that. So you can't really use the excuse of, well, I didn't know. I don't tell them where to go. And maybe you don't. It doesn't matter. What I am saying is that you know damn well where they're at. You know where they're at. Don't act like you don't. Granny's watching, I believe, was on panel with Deets and the Jerks the other day. And I remember Granny being like, I see that I wasn't really mentioned, but I was talked about because it was about this live. And Joneson admitted it. I love Joneson for that. She's very straightforward and honest. I appreciate her going, oh, yeah, it was. And Deez was like, what? And it almost was a little interesting on the condescending level because, look, Deets probably really didn't remember. But she also didn't watch TPE's live, and she was speaking on the matter. And I'm not shaming her for this. I'm just saying that that's really not an open panel to me. And I listened to Granny, even though it sounded like she was, what's the word? Just upset about whatever happened and the feelings that she was feeling in the community, which she has every right to do. Nobody told her to shut the fuck up, by the way, which is great. But she had valid points. She saw it for what it was. People stopped coming over here into my chat. Things were being said over here, and other people were congregating in this chat. It is a fact, Jack, that you will go where you feel comfortable and watch in the bushes and not say anything where you used to be. And depending on how the mood switches and how everybody feels that day in the trauma community specifically, you're interchangeable. Because you don't squash the shit when it happens, or you don't do it what you would do, maybe go offline and say, hey, what's up? How can we work this out? I'm feeling a certain way. Got to bring it to YouTube, which is weird to me. I don't understand that. You're a human being. Back in the day when you had a problem with your coworker or your schoolmate or your roommate, did you go strike up a TikTok, a live, a Rumble? Did you go private a Rumble stream talking shit about somebody and said, well, you got to pay to know what I talked about? Are you fucking kidding me? Is that what we're doing? That I do not. That is exploitation, by the way. TPE, if you want to cover that, definitely do that. I'd be on board with that. I'm sorry I'm rambling. It's already been an hour. I need to be more open and listen to you guys. My apologies. Rachel Carter. I literally had to give up cable, had zero idea that YouTube did anything other than music till my kiddos did. Right. Right. This is embarrassing. I didn't even know that YouTube had a chat option until like my third or fourth live or video. I was like, oh my God, you can go live and chat. It was embarrassing for me. I was really that dumb. Really, really, still am YouTube dumb. Learning my lessons. Julia T, but some people make their living off the backs of missing kids with nothing but false info. Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. And they make hand over fist with it. I think that the collective knows who that is. I really do. I really do. And those that have a conflicting opinion, let's say about a missing child's parents, some people believe that they do not need scrutiny or feel the moral high ground is to just not go there and shut up. And then there's some people that say you are not free from scrutiny if you, as a missing child's parent, comes on the YouTube streets and talks a bunch of crazy, inappropriate things. I believe, like, for instance, Nonsense, I do agree with her on this. Yeah, they have earned that scrutiny. Yeah, they have earned it. And if they need to get off the YouTube platforms, help them do that. Help them do that. But I don't think that we give parents of missing children enough credit for them to handle their own. They know what they're doing as human beings. And sometimes you need to treat them like human beings, even in the worst times of their lives, with respect and humility. It does not make you a tragedy pimp to be real and honest about what's going on with what we're all seeing. For instance, Sebastian Rogers case. Both sides of that coin, I believe, Duchess and Nonsense and even Granny's Watching and others have done an amazing job exposing it for what it is. And now they're getting scrutinized, and so do I. They're not free from scrutiny. But I do see that they are wanting to know the change and the difference. But I'm going to tell you, there's already clip channels scrutinizing that. What are their motives? What about what you did 2 years ago? You see how that trauma exploitation happens on the face of don't harm the children and their parents. Double-edged sword, y'all. How about we're all fallible human beings and no one has the answers? Nobody has the answers. We can hold ourselves accountable, but if you're going to be a hold true crime creators accountable channel, you are not free from scrutiny, and you don't get to shame people into submission, and you don't get to mess with their freedom of speech. Why would you want to hinder anybody's voice? You're just going to make them manipulate themselves and their creators in a different way where they get away with it, like I'm seeing in the trauma community. The motives, the intent. Shaming will not work. It has not. I have not seen one change from shame. Matter of fact, I've seen it worse because of the shame put on this platform on both sides. Can we stop the shaming? Revival. I've been a mod for Nonsense for 2 years. Haven't dropped her Cash App a single time. And that, everybody has their own opinions. And I think that's great. And I haven't seen it either. And I honestly would not give a damn if they did. Because their voice and their thoughts are worth something. Obviously, if they have a big following, and obviously if they have a lot of people in the chat responding, their voice matters. Nonsense voice matters. Granny's Watching, for whatever reason it is. That's not exploitation. That is not tragedy pimping when you're speaking on matters. It's not. Hashtagging and putting words into there is not hashtag. For instance, you're not hashtagging at a child when you put their name in there. Do I see TPE and everybody else who agrees point? Just don't put their name in there. I see the point. I see it because it's looking like you're trying to grab their attention. That's not what it is. We forget that the people that are quote unquote being tagged and the children's names that are being tagged is what YouTube says to do. And you would have to go to the first person who started that shit to unravel that mess. Right? Hashtags are there for a reason. The moment that missing child or the parents that come out with their names, their public names, right? It's over. It's unfortunate, but that's just how YouTube works. They hashtag this. They do the same thing on the news channels. They hashtag names to get them out there. So if somebody says, oh my God, I just heard about this missing child, Sebastian Rogers, and you type in Sebastian Rogers, things pop up. The news pops up. The Karama, unfortunately. The in-betweeners. Right? And the clip channels. Stop hindering those who have a brain that go onto YouTube willingly. Stop hindering their voice and thoughts. Let them make their own thoughts. Right? And also, on the other side, if you don't know for a fact that something happened, make sure you damn well put that in your description and say it on your live. I don't know this to be true. Let's talk about it. Both sides of the coin are guilty of the same thing they're pointing fingers at, y'all. I'm included in this. I'm trying really hard to do better and literally stepped away from this platform out of fear for retaliation, especially after what went down personally in this little group of mine that I was in. And that's mine. That's not your beef. That's my beef. Mama T43. This is embarrassing. Bye. Yeah, mama. Bye. Lauren, trying to catch up on 2XP. Glad I made it. Thank you for being here. Please hit the like button while you're here. I'm about to wrap it up. But I do want to show you something really quickly. You know, I had my camera ready for y'all to see my ugly mug, and it fell behind my desk as I was going live. So, sorry about that. But I am back. Like, my next live will have my actual face. But if you watched Tom CPU, I was on there last week, so I haven't turned into a hideous blob or anything. So, self-righteous shaming. Now, I have heard in my time on this earth that shaming for some people can be involved with mental health problems or diagnoses. I'm not going to go there. I am not a medical professional, but I do know that is something, for instance, narcissists use, or you get my drift. And I'm not going there because I don't know who has what and I don't care. But on both sides of the coin here, trauma and quote unquote true crime or whatever, there is a problem with this self-righteous shaming each other all the fucking time. I'm sick of it. Everybody love everybody, damn it. And if you don't, well, eat some Cheerios. They're good for your heart, your cold ass heart, and go to bed. Hi, Mr. Eve. Eve has missed everyone here. Yes. We've been busy. Oh my God, we've been so busy. Annabella, I'm so glad that you popped in. I'm sorry I haven't read chat like I was supposed to. Sorry about that, but so glad to see you. I think Granny does well, yes. Hey, Widow, good to see you, love. Revival, before I get into this, I'm going to catch up with chat. I'm sorry. I bounced a little bit. I apologize. I know some people do not like that. And I don't care. But I did go into Six Up's live last night as she was criticizing Duchess and nonsense. Six Up, she went live last night? Oh, right. Right. She acknowledged she used to be in N's chat, but now avoids because of the exploitation. Oh, of course she was in there. I mean, every single person that has ever reviewed somebody else that has an issue is in there no matter what. And she will continue to be in there just like all the rest. I mean, that's what that community does. I've been in the watch parties well enough to know that that's exactly what it is. And that's her right. That's her right. Now, unfortunately, guys, I believe Six Up said she was demonetized on her main channel, and I think Revival's talking about the backup channel. And I don't remember. I think it's Six Up Media too. So if you're a watcher of Six Ups, definitely go check. Oh, I can't. You know what? I cannot promote other. She actually taught me that. You can't promote other channels now. So I back it up. But you heard what I said. So cat's out of the bag. But that's literally a YouTube community guideline thing now. Lenny, Mr. Eve, your wife tells where the bear shats in the buckwheat. Right? Mr. Eve, you're awesome. You're awesome. Widow knows nothing. Ma'am, I love you, but sit all the way down on that. You know so much. But I'm glad you're here. No hate. No hate. Ruby Rose. Well, here's the thing that makes me sick. Parents who are responsible for terrible things happening to their children should not get rich off of GoFundMes. When that's their priority, of course, people question. And question that shit 100%. 100%. It's okay. It's okay to feel that way. Just don't be a bullhorn Betty and go to their house and try to get them to confess to something. You know what I mean? Sit down by your computer and get online and stream. You don't have to go nowhere. I suggest you don't. You don't have to do all that. Don't break laws. It's really simple. Did we forget? Matthew, I'm doing a snap cam tutorial today. If you want everyone to see that you're a hideous beast, I would love that. You know what? Sold. I'm there. Absolutely. Emery, I am okay with a nudge to do the right thing, but a couple of the simps are out in the chats talking the same crap they're shaming creators for. I was part of that, Emery. I took screenshots last night. I was shocked. Yeah. And you know what? Mr. Eve, cover your ears because you're going to be like, I know you did not just say what I think you said. But I have to give credit where credit is due because it's fair and it's right. The person that I'm about to bring up, in my opinion, needs to be covered more than anybody when it comes to exploitation. And especially sexual exploitation of others. A-Balance, all right? A-Balance completely helped not only dox, my family, me and my family, because there was nothing else to go after with me, so he went to the next best thing and lied on my name. But he was right. He was right about something. He knew that the ones that he is a lot alike, that doesn't want to admit it, that does the same things he does, he was right. Lay with dogs, you get the fleas. Right? So what I'm trying to say is, was I surprised that that happened? Knowing where I was and what happened at the time? No. It wasn't no coinky dinky. It wasn't no oopsie daisy. AB didn't just walk up in that Discord and expose it all by his lonesome. I mean, he probably did that part, but I know better. I know better. That was intentional mentional. With the help of others, baby. And they know it. And if it doesn't apply to you and you get bent out of shape, I'm not implying you then. So don't speak on it unless you feel like you need to. Miss Eve needs some iced coffee. I need some coffee. What, do I need to take a drink? My bad. But AB was right, though. I hate to say that. Fuck the motherfucker. Did me dirty as fuck. Was a loyal supporter. But he was right. He was wrong, but he was right about that. What did I expect? Comfort and talking shit behind a Discord? Helping pretty much others who are lurking in the Discord to get content? Nope. And for that, I apologize, Mr. Eve. I was a part of that, of your unfortunate exposure that had nothing to do with content. And the only exposure was a court hearing for a wreck. That's dealt with and gone. It's over, by the way. So if you want to go look that up, bitches, you can. It's not a big deal. But they came after him because they couldn't, first of all, they couldn't refute my facts and the receipts, just like with Nonsense and others, right? She's just speaking the damn facts and going over stuff. But maybe, just maybe, it was because the count numbers were going up. I did notice that. People were starting to listen more during this time with Sebastian Rogers, and it really looked enticing to talk about from those who weren't. So what I'm going to say is that on both sides of the coin here, sometimes people pick up and pick at people and things randomly on a Tuesday because they saw a clip that they had in their phone and somebody texted them and reminded them that they should probably talk about this or whatever, for an example. To just bring it up to get that content rolling. On both sides of the coin here, it happens. I will say that I don't. Go look at my content. I randomly post, and it has not gotten the views that I used to, and I don't care. I do care because I do want, people to listen and hear what my thoughts, because people have come to me and said that they appreciate the openness and honesty. And they know that I don't grift, and they know that I don't get a damn dime. I'm in the red every month. Mr. Eve's like, what the hell are you doing this for? I don't know. Maybe I care. But I'm a tragedy pimp because somebody has an issue around the same people who call self-righteous indignation. So let me move on to this. 4 personas of self-righteous shaming. Again, everybody is guilty of this shit. Including talking about other creators, including talking about the parents of missing children, the child and the circumstances. Everybody is under this shaming situation on YouTube. This is what we do. It's the shame community. It's ShameTube. That's what it is. So we collaborate. We collaborate on YouTube to think of ideas. What did they mean when they said this and that? Blah, 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 blah. Then there are those who demand change. Damn it. Stop grifting. Get a job. Get a job. Get off of YouTube. Go take care of your own children. Mind your business. Stop exploiting these missing children. Right? On the other side, respect individuality. Something I absolutely 100% am on board with. I'm in here. Correct me if I'm wrong. Then you have coercion, demand conformity, Bullhorn Betty, JLR. Absolutely. You have to answer for your crimes that you have not been charged with. Now we're going to go here, put our bullhorns up, and go rah, rah, rah until you do. That is them. 100%. Right? Respect individuality and course. This is where the self-righteous shaming is. This, don't hate on me for this, please. It's not meant to be disrespectful. It's just how I feel. When you do premieres for an open discussion, and the only thing that you can do is type in the chat, well, while being called out, right? What can I do? I understand, blah, 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 blah. And there is, yes, a response of, please just know that I respect these creators, not always what they do. That is not an answer to the question asked. That is not a discussion. That is a one-way street. And then not to, to have a link, for instance, Queen Bee, I think Granny's watching, even Nonsense, I believe, all offered links for TPE to come up and talk about these situations. It did not happen. TPE has expressed that she is a wimp about these things. I think I've heard other people just say she didn't have to, she doesn't have to. But it's courteous. It's absolutely respectful to talk about somebody and your issues and want to have that open discussion and not do that. It's a little off-putting. So don't be surprised when you get heat for that, right? Or it looks a little odd. But I will tell you exactly where TPE was when the discussion about her own request for the community speak, if you will. I will tell you exactly where she was. 6 Up, her friend, and that's great. I'm not shaming that. I really am not. But it's very intentional, right? The Jerks, who also spoke on it, right? She was there. And then the Soup, who's part of the Jerks. And maybe, I think Deets, who I think she's a mod for, but did not take the link for anyone who was pointed out about. Why not? I had to put my big girl panties on and defend myself hard when Purple, Phoenix, and Brooks from Crime Lines and Lies lied on my name. The Lab, Justin Farrell, when the Stacey Wandra business came out. I had to fight for my life out on the streets, and no one but the ones that know my truth and my intentions fought for me. And the exploiters who didn't care as long as Purple got heat. Otherwise, they'd still be fighting for me today. This is where I think a lot of us fall when we have a falling out with other people or disagree. We demand conformity, we disrespect your individual views, and we try to coerce you and shame the fuck out of you to change the way your behavior is. And I would not do this to a child, let alone an adult human being, because you're worthy of a conversation offline. And if you continue to, let's say, amp up the fuckery, then okay, I understand you need to be called out. Right? We got to stop this shit. We have to stop this behavior. We need to be mindful of our language. I am the worst about cussing. I'm from the South, okay? We get heated because not an excuse. We got to stop this. Take accountability where it's due. Please do not wham bam people who are no longer a part of your little clicky clue over there. Don't use that as a weapon. And please, for the love of God, there are people, just know that there are people that know the truth behind it. The well-oiled machine of, we weren't part of that, we didn't have nothing to do with that, we associate, but that's it. Grow up. Grow up. Take it to another platform if you want to. And stop talking shit about people behind paywalls on another platform and threaten people with it. Sit down. Because that self-righteousness that we are all, even me right this moment, right, are a part of, we need to be better about that, in my opinion. So this is basically from, I believe, Kim, what's her name? Kim Scott, somebody I appreciate, somebody that my therapist has recommended following and reading her content, her books and things, and her podcast. And I do appreciate her views on shame, because I have lived with shame my whole life, and I see shame a mile away. And that's why it was so easy for me to be in the the doo-doo chats talking mad doo-doo about others and shaming them. I'm guilty because it was done to me. You go where you're comfortable, even if it's negative, right? I am guilty of that. All of us are. So she says, it's the responsibility of upstanders to intervene when they notice bias, prejudice, or bullying. But attempting to coerce people into changing their attitudes or behaviors by indulging in self-righteous shaming, and I'm going to say this real quick, we're all guilty of it. Even nonsense, sometimes I'm like, ooh, damn, slow it. We don't have to go there, but I get it, and I do respect it and understand the motive and the intent. But it doesn't always have to be like that. We don't have to shame all the time. Attempting to coerce people into changing their attitudes or behavior by indulging in self-righteous shaming isn't going to work. Remember, radical respect, which is do as I say or you get consequences. By the way, it's a different story, podcast that she did. Radical respect optimizes for collaboration. It doesn't seek to coerce through force or shame. Often we think incorrectly that our intentions in shaming are good. We are trying to defend a vulnerable individual, such as a missing child's mother, father, family, the child themselves. We are trying to defend a vulnerable individual or a group of people who are being disrespected. Or perhaps we have been shamed ourselves. Me. And so it feels fine to fight fire with fire. Clip channels, boom, let's go after them. Every day, all day, let's just keep at them until they break, right? As we see on some of these YouTube streets. Or we're just fed up with the broken system that is working for us, so we lash out at the person rather than trying to fix the system. Or perhaps that the people we are shaming are more powerful than we are, so we assume they somehow deserve it or can take it. You don't know what anybody can take on any given day behind a screen. Please be mindful of that on both sides, and that it also includes the scrutiny of people involved in a case, no matter what their involvement is. I've learned that lesson. I'm learning it. So this also goes to the true crime community. Self-righteous shaming is an act of vengeance, not repair. It is a form of bullying. And fighting bullying with bullying isn't going to reduce bullying. And stop making money on bullying people. Ultimately, insofar as we know at some level that it won't work, it's an act of despair. Or Sometimes it's just communicating in bad faith in hopes of gaining something. What is it called? The road to hell is paved in good intentions. That right there. And it goes for me as well. Given how addictive the rush of shaming others is, the mental illness thing, where people get off on this stuff, and how social media tend to facilitate this kind of communication, self-righteous shaming is on the rise like a sickening virus, and it is spilling over from social networks into today's workplaces and YouTube streets, obviously. Self-righteous shaming happens on the right and on the left. If you're on the left, you're probably thinking about how it applies to people on the right. Or maybe you're the self-critical type who notices it on the left too. Ditto in reverse if you're on the right. The truth is that we all do it. We all shame. That's a fact, Jack. No matter which side of the issue the self-righteous shaming is coming from, it is invariably counterproductive. It doesn't work. It's mean. It's really that simple. What we are doing to each other on this platform, on both sides or all sides, as human beings, is not work. It's not going to work. And so let's all agree right here, right now, or disagree in the comments. I don't care. Could we all collectively agree, or at least discuss, shaming others into submission and shaming anyone for any reason, no matter what your motives are, is wrong? And if you make money off of shaming others or exploiting others with self-righteous indignation and moral grandstanding, you are a pimp, simp, tragedy, whatever you want to call it. You are just as bad. Equally needs to be called out. Level the playing fields. We see you all. Can we have a community called the Even Steven community, perhaps, where they call it out for what it actually is and do productive things? Maybe follow up with, here's what I found an article on how to regulate your goddamn temper. I don't know. Be better at your language. How to practice not cussing on a lie. Right? Potty mouth Eve. Productive. I don't see any change that's going to come out of the consistently shaming, bashing, whatever it may be, deserved or not. You don't get to call those things. You don't get to dictate that. Who the bleep are any of us to have that right? All we can do is share productive answers, positive outcomes, looking forward, picking and choosing your battles, not surrounding yourself with people for you to do your dirty work for them and being exploited yourself. It happens. You are who you hang with. You are who you hang with. You are what you eat. It's called cause and effect. And I started my platform. I'm going to wrap it up. I started my platform on the actual idea of spend your energy wisely. I think Gmail would know that was the first sign off that I would say. Spend your energy wisely with the Summer Wells case. Remember that? You never know how your energy is going to affect everything else. And I lost my way. A lot of people do. So please do not feel like you could ever not express yourself in this side of the fishbowl. This live was to open the minds of both sides, including myself and my viewers, Stop shaming. Let's do better. And stop exploiting on all fronts, on each side. Take the criticism when it's due, but criticize without demeaning people. Stop. You're also harming people who have children. You're harming those who are affected by a bad mood, shitty creator. They have children, they have families they have to attend to offline. And you're sitting there rent-free in their head, exploiting that. Where are you any better? Nope. You're just as bad as the ones you're calling out, in my opinion. And be careful where you are. Be careful where you hang out. It's okay to be a little boring in those discords like mine. It's probably a good thing. It means that people aren't in your ear all the time. But you are responsible for who you surround yourself with. Just like in the good old days without the interwebs. All right? Thank you so much for joining the Crime and Trauma community meeting. I hope that it does open some minds. I really do. All right, guys, as I say, drink your water. I surely do need a lot of water. It's so hot. Have a great day ahead. Be good. And everybody love everybody, damn it. Bye.